Hi cave fans, it's Drake, diving into an eerie tale called the Drimnjhrol. Imagine a private investigator stumbling upon a decades-old mystery involving moving stuffed animals and underground caverns. Our hero, Orrery, teams up with an elderly woman who can only communicate through mirrors. Together they uncover a dark power that brings toys to life but traps people underground. It's a story of loneliness, sacrifice, and the unexpected bonds we form in the strangest of circumstances. The twist? Our characters end up choosing something dark and magical, creating an ending that is chilling and deep. This tale will make you question reality and wonder what secrets might be hiding right beneath our feet. Let me know in the comments if you'd explore the Drimnjhrol or run far, far away.
Likey.
You know what fascinates me about supernatural stories? The way they can completely transform our understanding of connection and isolation. Today's story takes that idea to extraordinary depths, literally underground in a tale that challenges everything we think we know about family bonds.
The way this story starts as a classic detective noir, before diving into supernatural territory, really caught me off guard. Tell me more about how the author builds that transition.
Well, it's fascinating how the author uses Orrery's character, this traditional PI with his mohair suit and Lincoln Continental as our bridge into the supernatural. The story gradually shifts from missing persons case to this complex exploration of magical powers and sisterly bonds.
Speaking of those powers, the Drimnjhrol seems to work almost like a twisted fairy tale contract, doesn't it?
That's exactly right. And what makes it so compelling is how each character receives different abilities. Zaylee creates light, Orrery hears thoughts, and Avi animates stuffed animals. But the price they pay is this complete isolation from the outside world.
The stuffed animals are such a brilliant narrative device, these childhood objects transformed into something both nurturing and menacing.
And the way they tie back to the town's history with the Pluftenfeld factory gives the supernatural elements this grounded historical context. It's like the author is saying these magical elements have always been there, just beneath the surface.
That reminds me of how Gothic literature often uses architecture and places character. The manor, the factory, the caves, they all feel alive with history.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of Gothic elements, the way the story handles communication is fascinating. You have Zaylee speaking through mirrors, Avi communicating through thoughts, and Orrery becoming this translator between worlds. It's like each character has their own unique language.
The mirror communication particularly struck me. It's almost like a metaphor for how we often see ourselves reflected in our family members.
That's such an interesting observation. And it plays into the larger theme of how these sisters separated by tragedy and supernatural forces find new ways to connect. The author really explores how family bonds can survive even the most extreme circumstances.
Well, what really gets me is how the ending subverts our expectations about rescue and resolution.
Right, instead of escaping the Drimnjhrol, they create this strange underground community. They make the slime taste better, freshen the air, build a house from stuffed animals. It's both heartwarming and unsettling, suggesting that sometimes the best outcome isn't escape, but adaptation.
The way they keep having to move deeper whenever spelunkers get close adds this constant tension to their seemingly stable situation.
And isn't it fascinating how the author leaves us with this ambiguous hope? They might find a way to escape together, but maybe they've already found what they were looking for, this unconventional family unit they've created underground.
So, you think the author is suggesting that sometimes the families we choose or create can be more meaningful than conventional relationships?
Well, I think it's more nuanced than that. The story seems to be exploring how connection and isolation aren't always what they appear to be. These characters are physically isolated, but deeply connected, while people above ground might be surrounded by others but completely alone.
That's a powerful observation about modern life, especially in our digital age.
And that's what makes this story so relevant. Today it takes these big questions about family, connection, and belonging, and explores them through this dark fantasy lens that somehow makes them more accessible and meaningful.